So the first thing that we need to do is to be on this page which says Self Hosting AppFlowy with AppFlowy-Cloud. This is the official documentation by AppFlowy to get us started. And as you can see, it only contains 2 steps that we need to follow, but actually there are a lot of sub steps that we need to follow to get this done. So the first thing we need to do is visit this deployment guide. And as you can see, the deployment guide tells us that we need a hardware machine which at least has a 4 GB RAM to be able to run our web server, where the port 80 and 443 are available. And it is a good idea that you use something like an Amazon EC2 or Azure virtual machine to actually host this web server, because it needs to be persistently running. So in this tutorial, we are going to use Amazon EC2. And let's check the software requirements that we have. So the software requirements are nothing but Docker, and then we just go in the steps. Okay. So let's start with the EC2. Before we start with the EC2, you can see there's another link in the same folder, which is specifically a guide on installing AppFlowy-Cloud and AWS EC2 Ubuntu instance. Okay, so what we will do is we'll follow this guide to get our EC2 up and running. Okay, so what you need to do is visit your EC2 console. Then, the usual setup, you need to create a new machine and then make sure that you give it at least 16 GB of storage, and make sure that you select Ubuntu as the operating system and create a new instance. I already have an instance, but for this tutorial, I'm going to launch a new instance and I'm going to name it AppFlowy-Cloud tutorial. Okay, now for the operating system, I want you to select Ubuntu, and then you can select the architecture of the machine. You can select the instance type. Now, if you want to select, if you have, if you are willing to pay for this EC2 service, then you can select a much powerful machine as well. For this tutorial, we are only going to select the T2 micro instance, which is free. So once you've done that, make sure you create a key name pair. So I'm going to create Mayur2, and it is a .pm file. Now this we will need for logging in to our machine using SSH. So make sure you create a key pair, and as you can see that we have already downloaded that file. So we will need it later. Let it be there. Once that is done, we need to create a network security group actually. So if you already have a group, you can do that. For this tutorial, we'll create the new one. Now here you need to specify where to allow the SSH traffic from. So the SSH traffic is nothing but it will help you to gain access of the virtual machine that you will be running. So I'm going to say only make it accessible from my IP address. I'm also going to say allow HTTP traffic from the internet. So, and for now I'm going to not check this box which says allow HTTPS traffic from the internet. In your case, you can. So once the network settings are done, now we will configure the storage settings. And to configure the storage settings, we have already read in the documentation that we need at least 16 GB of storage for our EC2 instance. So I'm going to go up 4 GB more, and I'm going to allocate 20 GB of storage to this EC2 instance. Then you can do a few advanced settings as well. I'm just going to skip them for now. And then I want you to click this launch instance button, which will create the instance and it will launch it as well. So now you can see that the instance is successfully launched. Now all we need to do is connect to that instance. So to connect to that instance, you can follow. So let's just open the SSH client, which in our case is going to be our terminal. So this is just the normal Mac terminal that we have. And now here, what we have to do is, I'm going to create a new folder. So I'll say AppFlowy server. So I'm just going to say my initial. So once that is done, what I need to do is I need to move my .pem file into this folder, and then I will access that SSH terminal always from this folder rather than accessing it from my downloads folders. Okay. So one thing we can do here only, we can go here and we can like copy this path. Let me copy this path quickly. So I've copied it. Now I can go to the downloads folder. If I could type correctly, that is. So in this folder, you can see that there is a bio.2pem file that we just created. So here it is. So what I want to do is copy this file and simply paste it in this folder, right? So now again, I can paste that same location and be in that folder, and you can see that this file is successfully copied. Now all you need to do is make sure that this file has proper permissions. So we'll do chmod 400 and the file name. Once that is done, all we need to do is copy this command, just paste it here and set it running. What this will do is it will connect to the EC2 instance. So I say yes, and as you can see now, rather than the original MacBook Air, it says the Ubuntu and the IP address of the machine. So that means we are successfully inside the EC2 instance that we needed to. So now the EC2 instance is successfully set it up. So let's go to the next step, which is about installing Docker. And to install Docker, we can click this to follow the official Docker documentation to get it installed on Ubuntu machine. So we can get it installed using the apt command. So I just pasted that first command, and after that we need to set up a few certificates. So let's just go quickly through these. All right, so Docker is successfully installed on this machine. Now we need to install the Docker packages. So I'm going to copy this command, paste it, say Y. And the next step will be to verify that Docker is successfully running. So I will paste this command, that is sudo docker run hello world. And as you can see, now the Docker is successfully installed. Now what we need to do is we need to add current user to the Docker group. This is an optional step if you want to remove the sudo command for the Docker thing. So I'm just going to enter that. Okay, so those steps are also done. Now moving on to the next step, that is installing AppFlowy-Cloud. So for that, what we need to do is first we need to clone the AppFlowy repository. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to just paste this command. It will clone the repository from Git, and then what we will do is we will, so as you can see, it has successfully cloned it. Now we can go inside that folder, and you can see the AppFlowy-Cloud repository successfully cloned. Now we need to set up the .env file. And before we actually set up the env file, this is a step where we need to set up the authentication before we could actually set the env file. So let's just complete this step number 2, which says to create a new env file, which will contain, which will be nothing but a copy of this deploy.env file. So I do that, and if I do an ls, you will not be able to see it because it's a .env file, so it's hidden. But if you do a cat.env, you can see the content of the newly created env file. Okay, so I'm going to clear this terminal again. And now what we need to do is set up authentication. Now this is a step that you can skip because they say by default no authentication is needed to sign in. But we will have some documentation, have some authentication in place. So we have multiple options for setting up authentication. In this tutorial, I'm going to use OAuth with GitHub. Here, what you need to do is first you have to go to the GitHub developer settings. So I want you to create a new OAuth app. To copy your public IPv4 DNS. So this is the public IPv4 DNS. We've copied that. I want you to paste that here and say web/login. Now this page will tell us, once our server is up and running, this page will be a login page for our server actually. So we mentioned that, and I think you need to also mention the HTTP protocol. The application description is nothing but optional. So I'm going to say AppFlowy server running on EC2. If I could type. And then this is the important part. Okay, so this says authorization callback URL. So I'm going to go here, and again I'm going to say http:// or // and then the instance, and now I need to tell the path. I need to copy the path as well. So I'll copy this path and I'll paste the path as well. So as you can see, the path is also pasted successfully. I'll just copy this path, by the way, because we are going to require it again. Click the register application button. So once you click the register application button, and now you can see that the OAuth application settings are completed, and we can use the client ID and the client secret for enabling OAuth authentication in our AppFlowy-Cloud server. So we already have a client ID. We need to create a client secret. Okay, so now we have a client secret. We have a client ID, which we are going to paste in our .env file. So once that is done, all we have to do is update the env file with the client ID and the client secret. Okay, so again, going to our EC2 instance, what we need to do is we need to open the env file. So once the env file is open, what we need to do is we need to edit the client secret and client ID. So you can see a lot of things are here, a lot of variables are here. Oh, there is a variable that we need to change. So yeah, we need to update the JWT secret. I mean, it's optional. It is recommended that you do update it. It needs to be something that's a long string, because that will be used for encrypting your JWT token. Okay, so I'm just going to use something. You should actually use some kind of string generation for this. For now, for this tutorial, I'm just going to go with my name. Okay. Okay. Now moving on to the next part. Let's see where GitHub is. Okay, there it is actually. So now here we need to paste the client ID and the client secret as well. So let's just go on our GitHub, which is here. Copy this client ID. I've copied it. I'm not very good with using Vim, so forgive me for my slowness. And I've also pasted the client secret. Now we need to also paste the API external URL that we have. So you remember we've already copied that URL, right? So I'm just going to copy it again. All right, so we have pasted the URL successfully as well, and this we will update to true. So press I to get into insertion mode, escape to, oh, okay, I typed extra character there. Okay, so make sure so as you can see, it's true here. Client ID is provided, client secret is there, the external URL is also there. Next step is to configure the Docker compose.yml file by removing unneeded services such as tunnel, Cloudflare tunnels. So let me know if you want another video for this, but for now we're just going to skip it. Final step, we need to just start our AppFlowy service, and that's all really. We just need to launch the AppFlowy Docker service. Can we do that? Okay, we have to do sudo, and let's just do that. And now you can see that the AppFlowy Docker process is running, and now it will install everything that we need. So now that all our services are up and running, let's see what are the next steps. So this step is already complete. So they say post installation, you can expose your AppFlowy-Cloud. You can control how you expose your AppFlowy-Cloud server. So for doing that, you can click, you can modify the security group and edit the inbound rules. So let me show you how you can do that. Just you have to go in your instance summary, then you can click the security tab to view your security group. So this is the security group I'm using. I just click that, and then you can see the inbound rules. So right now the port 80, that is the port used for HTTP, is accessible from anywhere from the internet. So you don't want that because it's a security risk. So what you want to do is edit the inbound rules, and you can create, you can customize this however you want. So I'm going to select my IP. This means that I will only be able to access the web server through this IP. Now, if you want to do this for an organization, you typically want to create a customized rule, which is more flexible than this. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to keep it to my IP address. Okay. So as you can see, all the changes are now live. They are reflected here. You can see your server running, by the way, on the by going on the public IPv4 DNS and /web/login also, from where you can log in as well. So you can say the port number and then the web/login, and you can see your server is up and running. So the next thing that we have to do is we have to download the AppFlowy release application. That is a client application that we have to download, and then we will have to log into it. We have to configure that this is where my server is running, and then log in using GitHub. All right. So to do that, we will download the AppFlowy release package. Tutorial, I've already downloaded it and installed it. So what I will do now, once you have installed the client application, I want you to click this settings button, and after that I want you to go in the cloud settings. Here you have this option where you can select AppFlowy-Cloud self-hosted, then just select OK, and now here you will have to enter the base URL. Okay, so the base URL is nothing but the public v4 DNS that you have. So this is the base URL. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to go back to AppFlowy, mention the protocol, that is HTTP, and after that I will just paste the public IPv4 DNS of my web server. So now simply click restart, and now you can see AppFlowy has restarted. Now what we need to do is log in. Okay, so I'll go in my cloud settings, which now reflects the new changes that we've made. Now I go to my account, and then I can choose to log in. Here you have to select more ways and then click continue with GitHub. So once that is done, it will open a new tab in your browser, and which will ask you to authorize yourself or the person that is logging in. So I click the authorize user button, and now you can see the redirect URL has appeared here. I click open link, which will open that link in my AppFlowy client. So it might take a while. Let's see, and it has successfully opened the AppFlowy Cloud application. So as you can see, it appears different from the local AppFlowy instance that I was running. So this is the cloud instance. We have successfully signed into it. You can go in the settings. You can check that you can delete the account from here, and you can see that my user email is obtained from GitHub. Like that, there are other settings that AppFlowy-Cloud offers, such as inviting members, AI settings are there. So a lot of advanced features with the AppFlowy-Cloud And let's go in our GitHub OAuth application settings and check if the user is there. So I'll refresh this page and you can see one user is here. That means the user that we just signed in is registered with GitHub. So that's it, guys. I hope you were able to follow along, and now you have a self-hosted AppFlowy with AppFlowy-Cloud on your virtual machine as well. If you have any questions, if you have any difficulty, then make sure to reach out in the AppFlowy Discord channel. They are very active and they are very fast to respond as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know how I can improve, and let me know if you want any more tutorials like this.